I'm going to talk about the abuse of something called elk medicine. I will explain what that is. And it has to do with love, has to do with emotions, and it's uh, it's medicine for the emotions. Yeah. So this is what I'm going to discuss. Uh, you heard me talk about something called alchemy and how for the longest time they were considered undefeatable, untouchable, until long time ago. This man, he was married and he has three kids. In the Lakota tradition, a family structure, you only had three kids at the max. Rarely did you go over. And your children were supposed to be spaced at least 2 years apart to give your wife a break. Yeah, because geez, just keeping her pregnant every 9 months. Come on now. Yeah. So you see, emotional well-being is really important, so that people remain faithful to each other and to themselves, and that they are good parents to the children. Yeah. So all these stories come into play that I've been talking about for the past 2 weeks, and this is how they maintain their love for each other. Yeah. And so this man, he was going out hunting. He went up on it. He was walking around, and it's kind of windy that day. So he thought, oh, it's gonna be. I have to make sure, I'm downwind. Yeah, from if there's any animals out there, so they don't smell me. So he went up on a hill and started looking, in the opposite direction for animals, and opposite from the wind. I mean, and the direction of the wind. And he was looking around. There was a tree, a couple of trees on this hill, and some brush, and he heard a voice, and so he's turned around. Couldn't understand it. Yeah, he could. He heard a voice, but he didn't understand the words. So he thought, oh, maybe it's an enemy. That's he really got low, and he's looking around the hill. It's nobody. It's the only person there. I heard it again. Again, looked around. Nothing. Third time he heard it. Still, he couldn't find anything. He looked up in the tree, and there's nothing up there. So he was standing there like, huh. Then the voice said, come to me. He said, come to me. I'm in the bushes. Look on the ground. So he went back. This time he heard the words. Yeah? He looked on the ground. And there's a skeleton of an animal down there. So he was trying to figure out what it was. And it looked like it might be an elk. Yeah. So he was looking at this. And for those of you in Europe, an elk is not the same thing that what we in America say an elk is. Okay. In Europe, an elk is a moose. What Europeans call an elk, in America we say a moose. Okay. So it's two different animals, related but two different animals. So for those of you in Europe, it would be like a Hirsch, yeah, for Germans, Hirsch, like a deer, like a big deer. Okay, and they're kind of light grayish brown, and their necks are dark brown. Really a majestic animal, yeah, and it's like really got beautiful looking antlers, and this is an elk, yeah. And so, for those of you in Europe, it's like a really nice looking deer, a big deer. Okay, that's what an elk is. All right. So, um, I was shopping at the food store here. There's a real nice lady that I get to her counter from time to time. Oh, Herr kleiner Hirsch. That's how you say little elk in German. Yeah, she knows that it's not the moose. She knows that. Yeah, she knows it's a deer. So she says Hirsch. Yeah, kleiner Hirsch. So German lesson for you. Hey. Okay, back to the story. So he sees this in and then this voice says, "Come closer, come closer to me so you can hear me." So the man gets down, and he knows this is something sacred. Yeah, he knows this is not a scary thing because the voice is really gentle, and the voice says, there's a sickness that's been among the people for thousands of years." He said, "and now it's time to." He said, "I've been looking for a man to help rid this disease." He said. And every time I find somebody, they, they say they will do it, but then they fail. He said. He said, I can give you a medicine. He said, and you use it to help the people, to cure them of illnesses, and these are illnesses that medicine men cannot cure. Yeah? Medicine men cannot cure these diseases, but I can give you those cures if you want it, he said. And the medicine man said, "Yeah, I like to help people. So I would be willing to do that." So the elk spirit, we'll call it the elk spirit. The elk spirit said to him, "It's going to be really hard." He said, "I'm choosing you." He said, "But it's up to you if you want to accept or not." He said, "But it's going to be really, really hard to do." So the man said, "I'll do what it takes to, because it's important to help the people." Because remember what I said earlier, they were community-minded people back then. So the elk spirit said, "Okay, this is what you have to do." He said, "You have to leave your wife, and you have to live with 3 women." And the man's, "Oh, jeez, I don't know if I could do that." He said, "I love my wife. I have children." He said, "I can't leave them." So the elk spirit said, "Okay." He said, "Just go talk to your wife," he said, "and come back here. Take 4 days," he said, "and come back here after 4 days and tell me what you want to do." So in the meantime, he went down back home, and his wife saw that he was troubled, and she said, "What's wrong?" So he told her everything that happened. She said, "That's a sacred thing. You should do it." He said, "You do it for the people." She said, "Don't worry about me." She said, "You can see me anytime. She said, I'm always going to love you. And you can see your kids anytime." She said, "Remember what I said about the Tioshbai earlier? This is the reason why I explained that." She said, "Don't worry." She said, these children have many fathers. Because remember, his brothers are also fathers, and the husbands of her sisters are also fathers too. So the children are not going to be left without entirely. Yeah, they'll still be taken care of and loved. She said, "You should do this." He said, this is going to be medicine for the people." And so his heart was really heavy. Yeah, he really didn't want to do it. He didn't want to leave his family. But he thought, okay, it's for the people. He's going to make a huge sacrifice. He's going to sacrifice, his family to get this medicine to cure the people. So the fourth day came, and he went back up to the hill, and he told the elk spirit. He said, I accept." He said. So he said, "Okay." He said, he there was something that he told this man to eat. I'm not going to say what it is yet because this is sacred information. I'm just going to say he told this man there was something there that he was supposed to eat, so he ate it. And then, he felt some kind of sensation inside his body, like energy or something moving throughout his body. He could feel that he was changing. And he said, "No, I can't." He said, "I can't do this." He said, "I'm really sorry." And he started to cry. He said, "I love my wife. I love my children. This is the only woman for me. I cannot be with 3 other women. I cannot do this." And when he said this, a butterfly came out of his mouth. Yeah? And he realized that must be part of that medicine. He didn't know what to do. And here a second one came out from between his fingers. Yeah, a second butterfly came out. He was stunned. He didn't know what to do. He sat there, and he was about ready to leave. And then the elk spirit said to him, "You passed the test. You're the first man in the thousands of years to pass this test. I asked many men to do this. Either they said no, they couldn't do it, or they said yes, and then they kept it, but then they changed into elk men." See, this is the confusion here. People think that elk medicine and elk men are the same thing, and they're not. Yeah, they're not. An elk man has unhealthy energy, and only unhealthy energy. He has knowledge, but he uses it for personal gratification. Abusive women, sexual abusive women. Yeah, this is not love. Yeah. So he said these men turned into elk men, and they now they're just problematic. He said now it's time to stop it. You're the first man who passed this test. So when you have too much of something, it destroys you. Yeah, then you're unhealthy. Kind of like a spiritual diabetes. You see what I mean? He said, but you answered correctly. He said, you did exactly what I expected you to do. Now you have the perfect amount of medicine inside of you. It was necessary for those 2 butterflies to come out. Because if he kept those butterflies, he would have been spiritually diabetic. And he would have turned into an elk man. And he would lose everything. Eventually. Yeah, lose everything. So now he has the perfect combination. And then the elk spirit told him, he said, come up here every day. Yeah, for 28 days I'm going to teach you what needs to be done. And he said, behind you, he said, there's a flute. and it's made out of a certain wood. Again, I'm not going to say which wood it is. It's not cedar, though. Okay, it's not cedar. When you see cedar flutes on for sale on eBay, these are not really love flutes. It's a different wood. Okay, it's a different wood. It's not cherry either. It's not. It's not cottonwood either. It's not pine trees or anything like that. It's a certain kind of wood. He said there's a flute behind you. He said I'm going to teach you how to play, and the medicine that's in you right now. He said that's going to come in. That's going to go through your music, and that's what's going to cure people. And there's other things I'm going to teach you. Now you have the elk medicine. So now you're going to be a healer of emotions. Emotional situations. When people are addicted to an emotion, when people are only trying to feel one emotion, that is an emotional disorder. And so now I'm going to teach you how to cure that. Yeah, and so it's also going to deal with hate. Yeah, because you have to, when you're looking at something, you have to, the healthy way to look at something is to look at the entire picture. So when you're talking about love, you also have to talk about hate. This is a fine line. So this man was going to learn how to deal with hate as well. Yeah. So you have to look at the whole picture, because if you just focus on one side, what do you become? If you've been really listening to the show, you become dualistic, and that's unhealthy. So you have to look at the both sides, and you cannot say which one is good. You have to look at both sides and say, what can I learn? What can be enjoyed, and what can I learn? You stop using the labels of good and bad. So you have to look at the whole picture. So he's going to receive instruction in everything concerning these matters. So you can go tell your wife the good news. He said, boy, he was happy. So he came down, he had a big smile on his face, he was just full of energy, and he told his wife everything that happened, and she was like, oh, thank you. So thank the elk spirit for us. He really was looking out for us the whole time. See, the man has to make that choice. Is he going to fuck around, or is he really going to love his woman? He told her that what's going to happen and stuff. She said, oh, that's so cool. So he went there. Yeah, every day for 28 days he received instruction from this spirit, and then after that was over, a stranger came walking into their camp. And all the women ran to him. They couldn't get enough of him. It's an elk man. An elk man came into the village. And he was going to have his way with any woman he wanted. So the other guy, he's called the elk dreamer, yeah, because he received his instruction in dreams. Yeah. So what do you call it? The elk dreamer's wife was very, very much like him. Yeah. So she was out doing stuff, and this elk man saw her, and he went over to this woman, and he was gonna, he thought he's gonna enchant her and have his way with her because she was a pretty woman. So she did not make eye contact. That she faced him, and she greeted him, and she turned around and went ahead, was continuing to do her things. She wasn't affected. So he was puzzled. So he's going to try to, he wasn't going to give up. Just then her husband came out of the teepee, and the elk man noticed this man is strange. So he stopped. And this elk man made eye contact with him, and he said, "Go," he said. So the elk man, he heard the power in the elk dreamer's voice. Yeah? And he realized he's met his match. And his match is more powerful. So he turned around and left. Yeah? So as he was leaving, the elk dreamer said to the elk man, "I will meet you again. And when I do, you die." And the elk man really got scared, because he knew that that's the truth. He said, "I'm giving you a chance. It's up to you. If you want to change, or if you want to continue doing this, the next time I see you, you're going to die. I will see you again. This is a promise. It's not a threat." So the elk man wandered off. Yeah, he took off in shame, and suddenly the women saw him as filth. See, that's the power of the elk dreamer's voice. It changes the air. Yeah, it changes the air. It puts energy in the air. Totally neutralized what the elk man was trying to do. That's how the elk man knew if he stayed there, he was going to die. Because the voice of the elk man, the voice of the elk dreamer had power to stop him. And that power stayed in the air, and suddenly the women, they came back to their senses, and they saw that this is a filthy man. I don't mean dirty, but I mean sexually filthy. And they started throwing rocks at him and told him to leave. All it took was his voice. That's all. That's how powerful elk dreamers are. The elk dreamers are people who dream of the elk, but the elk has to do something. Just because you dream and you see a picture of an elk standing there, that does not mean you're an elk dreamer. It doesn't mean anything. It has to do something. There's a certain thing that elk is supposed to do in the dream. There's a certain protocol that it has to follow. Just like with Heokas, when Wakia appears to a man in a dream, where the man always is dreaming of thunder and lightning, that's a call for him to be Heoka. Yeah, the thunders, and they have to do something. That's why he has to talk to a medicine man and tell him the dream, and the medicine man will know if this guy is supposed to be Heoka or not. Yeah, so whatever it is you dream about, it has to do a certain thing. Just dreaming of an elk, that does not mean shit. You have to pay attention to what it's doing. That's going to tell you whether you're one or not. Because the elk calls you. And you have to be emotionally healthy. If you're just fucking girls left and right, there's no way in hell you're going to be one. There's no way you're going to be an elk dreamer, because you're not living it. See, the first one, the man, was a good man. He loved his wife very much. He loved being a father. He couldn't leave them. Yeah. So now they call us in our dreams, and they after that they give us instruction through the eyes. Yeah, and they teach us what we need to do to battle the Alchemid. And usually, one of the first things it's in the voice. They just get scared and they leave. I've seen it happen firsthand. Yeah. So this is this is these are the people who deal with elk medicine. They're healthy people. They're not Alchemid. Yeah, elk dreamers are not Alchemid. That's two different things. An Alchemid is somebody who uses charm and persuasion to attract women, and he's only concerned about physical sex, nothing more. The elk man focuses only on unhealthy things, and he only is concerned about sexual activity. Yeah, he's a sex addict and other things like that. He's only concerned about physical sex, nothing more. And he doesn't even enjoy it. He's using it to oppress women, to abuse women. He's more like a rapist, an emotional rapist. Yeah? An elk dreamer is concerning emotional healthiness, emotional well-being, and their energy is about healing from emotional disorders. An elk dreamer is a healthy concept. An elk man is an unhealthy concept. And the power of an elk dreamer is a lot of it's in his voice. So all he has to do is say something. And when an elk man hears the voice of an elk dreamer, he's shut down. Automatically, everything about him is shut down. Because the voice is neutralizing everything in the area. And the elk man loses power. And it's in the air. Yeah, the energy's in the air. So then people start to see the elk man for what and who he really is. Then they see that this is one filthy man. One degenerate man. He loses his enchanting ways. All an elk dreamer has to say to an elk man is go. Or in Lakota, Iayo. And then the elk man has lost. He's lost his enchanting ways. That's the power of love, my friends, in its purest form. So that took care of the Alchemid, yeah. So you see, that can be a scary thing too. So the most powerful elk dreamers know the ways of the elk man. Yeah, the most powerful elk dreamers know the ways of the elk man. But it doesn't work the other way. Elk men will never know the ways of the elk dreamer because they're unhealthy. They're dualistic. They only see part of reality. They only accept part of reality. Whereas elk dreamers are reality. Do you see the difference? So that's how that goes.
When I hear your name, I get all warm inside. When I think of you, I just want to sing. Whenever I see you, I want to hold you and kiss you all night long. Whenever times get really difficult for you, I will stand beside you. I'll always love you. My one and only true love, I'll never leave you. You have my heart and I only love you. Yo, hey, yo, hey, yo, ha, hey, yo, ha, hey, yo, ha, yo, hey, yo, hey, yo, ha, well, hey, yo, ha, yo, hey, yo, ha, hey, yo, ha, yo, hey, yo, ha, hey, yo, ha, hey, yo, ha. Doha iyautie yaki yahanta nisaki biana wajingte ohini techila mahasani ichbeya ichia inkdeshni chante maya luhana nishnala